left-wing Kingz. Listen, think, act, repeat.
On January 24th, Joe Biden received the endorsement of the United Auto Workers Union. So since Joe touts himself as the most pro-union president in history, this is probably a must for his re-election campaign. But Ace, does this endorsement help or hurt his election chances?
Helps a lot, man. I mean, and I don't know if you got to see it. I sent a video out on the speech that the UAW president actually had. And he hit the nail on the head when he just compared what Trump did compared to what Biden did. And when he said, hey, you know, what did Trump do? Trump went to the boss, and the boss and went and had a speech, and he talked bad about the union when he had a chance. He said, what did Joe Biden do? Joe Biden came out and stood with us in the lines. You know what I'm saying? I've always been confused on the working class Trump supporter. Just never understood that. Like how many working class people really backed him when that dude has done nothing for you and ain't gonna do anything for you. He don't even walk that life, man. And I always told him, I said, you gotta understand, Trump is the boss. He represents management. He represents big business, corporations. You know, he doesn't do the working class. So when a lot of these working class people are just really backing Trump, I'm like, what for? You know what I'm saying? He's not your guy. You know what I'm saying? If Joe Biden is anything, you know, he's a small man, working class, he's a working class guy candidate. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just right off the back. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, supporting the unions, backing them and supporting them, that's big. That's real big. You know what I'm saying? But I think he's done the things, and he's done other things. He did a good thing by going out there, but he's also passed some policies that help out the working class. You know, basically. So, I mean, that's awesome that they backed him up, and that speech got me fired up.
Right.
The whole deal. So, yeah.
Yeah. When you said that, he said in his Fain, I think is his name, right? UAW. So he goes, Trump would not be a UAW member. He'd be a company man trying to squeeze the American worker.
Yeah.
That's what he represents. So I thought it was really interesting too, because he speaks for the people, but sometimes the people, I don't know if they're hearing him. Well, what I also found interesting, Detroit-based union has more than 400,000 active members. So you think about that amount. Those are total members that are active. And then they have 580,000 retired members, many of which reside in that state. So that's almost 1 million people. So if you are getting and unifying 1 million people to go ahead and vote for Biden, that's a lot. You know what I mean? So I think they strengths in numbers, as they always say. And Fain is very, very influential. And we're saying that the presidents that win typically have backing of our union members. And last, in 2016, a lot of union members backed Trump. And so now I want to see what their reaction is today. You know what I mean? So they thought 2016, Trump's going to be our man. He's going to be that blue collar worker. He's going to defend us. And that didn't happen. So I'm really, really intrigued on how it'll impact him running, or if he gets the nomination running this year.
Yeah, most Republicans, you know, I mean, they talk it, but they're not really union friendly. They usually land on the side of big business. I mean, if you think about Bush and what Bush was doing with moving a lot of those jobs and closing down plants and stuff like that. And when they throw these tax, and it's funny, they'll give these big corporations tax breaks. The next thing you know, they're laying off people, and they're like, "You got a tax break," but they start laying off people, looking at that bottom line. That's usually what it is, and that's what Trump represents. I don't get why people don't see that. The working class guy don't see that. He's never even said he was going to do anything for you. That's not what he does. He's going to give big tax breaks to corporations and exercise what they call trickle-down economics. I've been trying to do that since Reagan, and it ain't never worked.
No trickle.
Trickle down. There ain't no trickle. It never reaches the working class. So that's why it confuses me when I see all these blue-collar guys supporting Trump. It don't even make sense.
Right. The water fountain is off. They turned the faucet off completely.
They didn't even give you the
They
trickle.
put the lock. They put the lock on it.
Yeah.
And that's what he said. We can stand up and elect someone who's going to be for us or fight us against it. And it's exactly what he does. I mean, you guys got to remember, as far as when he fought for tax reform, that tax reform wasn't for the little man.
No, sure
the
wasn't.
working class, me, you, whoever's watching. It wasn't for us. It was for corporations. And that's why we're feeling the impact right now. Like you said, corporations are still laying off people. So it just shows you that I don't know if that trickle down economics is actually working. How's it looking? We're in 2024 with the same concerns and issues and still talking about it.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine, and it's tax season, so W-2s was out, and was just ranting and raving like, "Oh man, under Trump, our taxes was better. They taking out more taxes." This fool's looking at the employee number on the thing that you got to put in the employer number that's in there. I said, that ain't your taxes, fool. I said, it don't work like that. You think the president went out and said, man, shoot, I'm going to raise y'all's taxes like that. I said, man, y'all don't even know when they say taxes, what they even talking about. Republicans ain't talking about your taxes. They talking about corporate taxes they going to cut. But I mean, it's just the ignorance is like, people don't understand and know that. It don't work like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you talk about this endorsement through the United Auto Workers, I think that a lot of it comes down to trying to get those swing states where there's a lot of unions.
Michigan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Michigan. That's a swing state. A bunch of unions there. Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. Do you think that this is going to kind of be like it's going to help them win those swing states? And also, do you think it's going to trickle to other unions giving Joe Biden the endorsement?
If the Biden campaign team, if they package it right, if they get the messaging out there, it can. That's the thing. If he messages it right and it reminds people of what he's done and puts it out there, I think that's a big problem with Biden right now is his messaging. If he can get that going, then it can be a real big help for him. But I say that, but I think it's all strategic also. I don't think he's trying to shoot out too fast with what he's doing, giving them an opportunity to have some comeback. So I think he's really going slow, but he's doing it purposefully. But if they put together and package it right, it's going to help them out big in those states. I mean, a lot of people are unionized like that. They and coming from a state where we're not we're really non-union, so it doesn't really, we don't understand it. But these are people's livelihoods. You know what I'm saying? This is how they make their money. This is how their dad made their money. I mean, it's a big deal. So it can really help them out in those states.
Definitely. And it says Democrats have historically, that's how they won, is by union members. And that's what I'm saying. Like Trump, how he won that year was having that backing of unions. So it just shows you that they're very, very empowered and very influential in the voting game. So definitely, I think we're going to see some type of impact. Like you said, if the messaging is correct, if he stands on that, and you got 1 million, union workers, and you got their families and friends, and that's how people talk, And a lot of times, family members, not always, they tend to vote together. So if you have a union member, that's just one person in that family. They got 4 or 5 other, siblings or whatever it may be. I mean, that accounts to a lot of votes, and they help with the campaign funding as well. So he's got a lot of money, got a lot of power.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget like how presidential races kind of go. Like when the primary, so you're hearing a whole bunch of things about Republicans, so people kind of think the incumbent, isn't really doing anything. But wait a couple of months, it's gonna come out. Wait a couple of months, and I think that this union backing is just the beginning to see that, especially if you have him getting backed by unions and doing things, and then as the campaign rolls out, all this other stuff comes out, and on top of it, your top candidate is in trial, and you keep just hearing all these verdicts and all this crazy stuff come out. I think it's gonna be very impactful going down the line. So it's gonna be interesting, man. This political season is gonna be real crazy.
Oh, very.
One thing that I wanted to touch on too was like we talk about like people voting against their own interest.
Yeah,
there are people who are in unions who are Republican too.
Yeah,
so they might, even though they're getting the backing of the UAW, they still might vote for Trump just because, like I think you said in our first discussion, people vote in party lines. There's people that are just like that. Like we got friends who we know who they just vote the party because that's what their parents told them to do, and that's what they do. And that's the end of it. And when you talked about how we're like a non-union state, like there are unions here, but they're pretty much powerless because it's a right to work state, like you said. So the unions basically have no power. And there's unions here who I know for a fact, because I talked to my wife about it, that there are people in their union who talk about you're voting against your own damn interest, people.
Yeah.
They talk in front of the whole faculty. and tell them that, and they still voting against it. So even though he has the backing and the endorsement of the UAW, he still is going to lose a few votes, but I think he'll get the majority of their votes, and I think that's really going to help him out. And I think that you guys can help us out by clicking on the like button.
He did it to himself.
Did it to me. So click the like button. Also, make sure that you subscribe to Left Wing Kingz. So speaking of pulling in voters, do we think that the endorsement of the UAW or any unions out there for Joe Biden right now, because he's probably going to get the other unions are probably going to jump on board too because of this. This is like the big union, and most of them are probably going to jump on board and endorse him too. Do we think that it could pull in non-union voters by the activity and the speech, that the video that you showed, talking about Trump? Do you think that this will help with non-union votes too?
Yeah, I mean, it could be influential. I think you're an independent voter and you kind of on the fence, like they like to say, and you can see something like this and say, okay, this might make a better decision because we have something that Joe Biden actually did to help out the small man, so it could be very influential when it comes to the independent voter. Like I said, once again, if you're a diehard Republican, more than likely you're going to vote Republican. There's not too much you're going to do that. If you're a diehard Democrat, the same thing. But it's those swing voters we're looking at. So I think that this can be real powerful in that realm.
Right. I do want to point out that Michigan, I want to say, helped elect Biden and Trump. Mm-hmm. And then look who Michigan is made out of, which is your union voters. I do think Fain is, like, with his influential power, like he said, with the unions, and then his questioning. He was like, who has the best shot at winning? Who's going to help the small worker? I mean, he really speaks to the people, and I think people listen to that because people are hurting. We always talk about inflation and, people's money is tight, just different things. And I think he really speaks to that. And I think if they listen to his messaging, it's going to help Biden in turn. Because who was actually out there with the people was Biden. You didn't see Trump on the strike line, picket lines. Who came down there and spoke for you and actually fought for you. So I do think people are going to remember that. I think they just need to focus on that message and just keep pushing it and reiterating it because, we forget very quickly as far as who was there and who was present and who was not. So I think if he pushes that information out there, I think he has a good shot. And again, Michigan's very powerful, and they know that because Trump won last time with Michigan's assistance in 2016. And I'm not sure if he's going to get that this year.
Well, when you talk about pushing that message out there, I think because we're in Texas, we don't really see the power of unions. And they will push that message for him. Like, people who are in unions, like, they go to meetings. Yeah. They like back their union. They do things because their union tells them. They go to events. They fundraise. I think that it's really going to help him through the mobilization that the unions can do. Like, they will get out there and they'll go do grassroots, like, campaigning, knocking on doors, going standing in front of the supermarket, talking about Biden this, vote Biden. They will be out there in numbers because their union says to do it, and they do what their union says. Like I said, we don't see that here in Texas. I mean, these fools really live and die with their union, so it's big for them. Yeah.
And going back, Orlando, to what you said, like Joe Biden stopped what he was doing and went down there. I mean, and when you talk about Fain and even when he's talking, I mean, you talk about plain talk. I mean, that's what they're reaching people who they're reaching people right in the gut in their homes. They're coming straight at them, and that's what the union power can do for you. And it just builds toward even what Joe Biden kind of tries to make himself look like as a president. Like, hey, I'm for the small man. I'm working class. You know what I'm saying? So that can even be impactful if you're kind of a working class guy and you might be a Republican or whatever the case may be. And the way they're talking and the way they're coming at it may even influence you there. Right. A lot of people talk about, it's easy for these candidates to get up there and talk about big picture politics. Hey, the economy and immigration. Those are broad, and you can talk about that. And any president or any candidate can say, because it's all subjective. Oh, well, the economy's messed up. One side will say it's messed up. The other one will say it's great. You know what I'm saying? So they can do that. But when you got these people and when I mean these people, union people, working class people, and you're shooting directly in their direction and what they're doing. We got to strike. You came out and held it down for us.
Right.
That's big. That's real big. I mean, that's something they can see, and he can build off of that. So if they can message that right, you may even get a couple of people to, hey, you know what, I do vote Republican, but man, this guy was out here with us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was, he showed up. He stopped what he was doing. The president came down here. He did that.
Right.
And this guy over here actually stopped what he was doing, but he went over here with the boss and said this and that.
Right.
So, to what you said, it's big. These unions are big, you know what I'm saying? And I think it's because you can actually reach out and touch it, you know what I'm saying? And so I think that's going to be, that's going to help them out a lot.
So could that going out there on the picket lines with the union, could that hurt Biden in a way? And I'm coming at it from this perspective. Yeah, that helped with the unions, but what about the guys with the deep pockets, the auto workers, like the auto companies? I'm sorry, the executives,
like Chrysler,
Chrysler, Ford, GM. They ain't happy with this dude. Now I understand, and your point is very valid from a voting perspective, and that's what really matters in the end. Who gonna vote for you? And the union was on the side of whoever won Michigan, right? But money goes a far way when it comes to campaigns and what you can spend and what you can say and how you can advertise. So if these companies say, and they don't want to pay these union workers more money, they don't want to give them more benefits. That's what they fight all day.
Even though they got record profits.
So could they be supporting Trump now? Trump might be embracing all that stuff. Yep, I'm the middleman. I'm the manager. I'm that dude. Ford, give me your money. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's definitely true. I mean, but it's funny because Joe Biden was part of the Obama administration who actually bailed out the auto workers. I mean, the auto companies. That's the whole irony of what they're doing is that the auto workers, the auto companies got bailed out by the government, made all these profits and don't want to pay nobody. That's why they're in the trouble they are. So, yeah, more than likely, they're probably like that when it comes to fundraising. They don't want to do anything, but they should. You know what I'm saying? They kind of owe them. You know what I'm saying? So, but, like you said, Trump's going to talk, he's going to talk towards management and corporations, and they want tax breaks. So more than likely, they're going to endorse him if it comes to that. You know what I mean? So, in the real world.
Right. I think of the law of large numbers, though. So you got, yes, your companies. So that's like 1% of the world. Once again, you got your 99%. So even if your 99% didn't have a lot of money, they giving $5, $10. That can still equate to the large numbers, of the corporations and stuff. So yeah, he's going to lose out some. But I think in the end, it'll be so much more impactful because you can have the rest of the world. You got your 1% and be, hey, I got 99. I got the 99%, maybe without the money. But, if they all just pitch in a little bit, we'll be okay. So we got to start looking at it that way. And so do these presidents. So hopefully we'll see what happens. But I think Biden's going to be okay regardless. Trump can have the big corporation. He always has. That's who he represents. That's who he is. So it's probably a loss that he already was going to take anyway.
Yeah. And besides, the unions and the executives and the company, like you said, they want tax breaks. They want all of that. So the big business is going to be going for Trump all day. But they also get the religion side. And I just want to say Downtown Hollis Brown is on YouTube. He says, my family's from Middletown, Ohio. They support Trump because they think God chose him.
Look, yeah. See, this is why people don't believe in religion right here. Because if you think Trump... Thank you for your comment, sir. If you believe that Trump is all godly and that's what he sent,
that ain't my...
I can't even articulate what I want to say because it's not appropriate. But I'm just saying, that means to me you have never read the Bible. You have not read Scripture, or you're not interpreting it correctly. Okay? Because if that's who you believe truly was God sent, God bless you. And that's in Southern of saying you. That ain't it. God bless you.
Evangelicals love him.
God bless you.
The evangelicals, the
God bless you.
Christian nationals, they push that agenda, and they're pushing that agenda through church. You know what I'm saying?
That is
sick.
sick.
And they're doing that, and they're basing it. They're making it faith based. You know what I'm saying? Like they're putting that campaign. They did the same thing with George Bush. You know what I'm saying? They're making it a faith based thing.
But is that truly what they believe? That's what I'm concerned about. Like, is that really, because it's one thing of saying something, but you're like, I just need to say what I need to say, versus is that a true belief of them? That's what scares me.
Well,
Do you really believe what you're saying?
But think about it like this. I mean, black churches, a lot of when they go through religion, they do that because you can base
Easily
that on blind faith.
Oh yeah, manipulation.
And that's why I've never been a fan of blind faith. You know what I'm saying? But that's what it's based on. Like, because God sent Trump to us. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? What? This dude, the rapist.
Can you take him back? Take him back. Misogynist. Huh? Pedophile. I can go words and words. We can go. The man's been married 3 times, y'all. I thought in church you're supposed to be married to one time. It can't get divorced. And there are so many things this man has done. I'm just saying, but that's what they say in the Bible. I mean, I'm just saying if we're going
biblical. We know he ain't godly, though. We know, God didn't make Trump and send him to us. We know that didn't happen at all. You know what I'm saying? Like,
as another topic, I can't. I'm done. Okay.
Yeah, no, but that sure is another topic. I mean,
that isn't
with church and Trump,
Church and Trump. Like, how do they go together?
Well, I don't know.
Grab him by the P word. Okay, but that sounds real godly.
That's just locker room talk.
That's right. That's locker room. I'm sorry. Boys say that all the time.
Jesus ain't in the locker room.